Okay, the meeting is back in session. Thank you, Rick. Next item, Sonoma County Stompers fundraiser request. Who wants to address this? Apparently there's no one to address the issue. Kathy, could you summarize the letter, or what the issue is, as shortly as possible?
In 2 words or less. The Sonoma County Stompers is a walking club, and they've requested that they be allowed to walk in Oakmont one weekend in 2016. They are requesting the use of our parking and restrooms for their group, and after they walk, they would like to eat snacks under a canopy. There may be up to 60 cars associated with the event. Marcia discussed it, and she is recommending that this not be granted to the Stompers to use the Oakmont facilities. By allowing them the use of Oakmont, it would set a precedent opening up Oakmont facilities to organizations that are not Oakmont clubs. Based on the long-standing policy, this request does not fit within the guidelines for facility use.
Do I hear a motion on the floor?
This is your job, Rick.
Herb, we've turned off all your microphones.
I move to deny this request.
Do I hear a second? Andy Elton seconds. Any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Next matter on the agenda is the new office remodel update. I'll try to make this brief. Basically, as you all know, we've signed a lease for the OVA offices with Brad Benson. I had intended to go over the contents of that lease to tell you all the good things involved with the lease, such as an option to purchase if they ever decide to sell, an option for another 5-year lease after this 5-year lease, and the additional space we're going to have, and the lower rent that we're going to be paying, all kinds of good things. That's the good news. The bad news, now we got to put the building in condition to occupy it, and that could be quite expensive. We don't know what the eventual cost will be. We've basically had an architectural firm. We've authorized an architectural firm to do the tenant improvement plans as well as the tenant improvement plans. And when we have those, we can put it out to bid and find out exactly what we're faced with. I can say that back in 2009, when we moved from that building to the building that we presently occupy, that the tenant improvements back in 2009 were about $142,000. So it's not an easy thing. You're talking about changing the air conditioning. You're talking about complying with ADA, moving walls, all kinds of things. So I will promise you a more thorough report next meeting. Let's go to the next item. Revised OEPC committee organization. Is there someone to address that?
I wasn't planning on
By any chance, is this something that we need to handle now or not? What? Would you mind if we pass this? Because we're running on here. Oh, then you can't be on the committee for the time being. Is that okay? You're not on the committee. Okay. Next matter. We're basically going to pass it on to the next meeting. If that's okay with you, Herm? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The Norby contract. West Pool Rec Deck, who wants to address that? Or did we address it?
You did address it.
Okay. Let's go to the next item then. Lower West Rec wood floor tap dancers. They asked to have this taken off the calendar. That is, they were going to speak, but since they're not speaking, we have, I think, if the board agrees with this, we've resolved the issue. John Felton, Cassie, and I met with Susan Millar, and also with Anita Reggio? Nina. To discuss the issue. The problem being that we have just recently sanded and redone the lower floor in the West Rec. When we did that, we noticed that there were a lot of gouges, nicks in the floor. They do appear to come primarily from the tap dancers because they have metal things attached to their shoes and all that. Anyhow, it's a blemish, but it's not that bad. We're more concerned with the continuing damage to the floor if they resume. We don't want to, though, to outlaw the tap dancers. They've been here a long time and they need the floor. So what we decided is that we're going to monitor the situation. And like every 3 months, our maintenance manager will check to see how the floor is looking. Once a year, we're going to try to schedule a coating of that floor with a new polyurethane or whatever is on there. Because the nicks probably will go through that layer first before it gets to the wood. Maybe we can stop it from going down into the wood. Also, by changing the maintenance procedures where we no longer use a wet mop on the floor, that would help the condition. So we're going to take it a step at a time, but not outlaw them. So, yes, John.
I'd like to add one more important thing. There's a new policy in place. It's obviously dedicated, it's going to be used for yoga and other things, but it's a dance floor. And all of the classes, the instructors will make sure that street shoes are not worn on the dancing floor and that everything's clean, the taps are screwed on tightly, there are no screws sticking out. So we're trying to hit the highlights at that point by making sure that we don't abuse the floor by using dirty shoes.
I don't think this requires board action. I think John just took unilateral action to stop it until we can figure out what to do. So we're just reporting it. Next item on the agenda, unless you want to discuss that. Yes. Quickly.
It would be well advised. Can you hear me?
No.
It would be well advised if you have every single class sweep the floor after they leave. Tap dancers wear tap shoes on the dance floor only. We do not wear them outside. Every other class that comes in there has walked across the parking lot, has walked through mud, has walked through dirt, and they're bringing garbage in that ruins the floor.
Yeah, we discussed that too. That's a part of our program. I just was trying to get past it as soon as possible. Thank you. Okay. Next item, Oakmont space issues. Herm.
I will be comparatively brief. My concern in the past has been that concentrating on the possible burger renovation, that we don't lose sight of a couple other issues. These are the fact that there will undoubtedly be at some time in the future, near or far, we don't know, a call to expand the library and the fitness center in the CAC. And secondly, there's this possibility of obtaining additional space for meeting rooms in the Benson building. And both of these certainly impinge upon planning for space needs in Berger. However, the Berger Renovation Committee recognizes these issues and will include all and any information regarding these issues, instructions to the architects. So, at least for the present time, that satisfies my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Herm. Let's go to the next item. Architectural Committee's Guidelines and Standard Revision. Yes, Marianne.
The architect.
The architectural committee reviewed the comments made by the residents of Oakmont, and we made a couple changes to the revised guidelines. Some of them were just corrections on spelling and what have you, but there's two I'd like to point out that are very important, and it's under parking. We made the change to change the definition, the regarding definition of storage of vehicles. We removed the words "or any vehicle," so that you can park in your driveway for a limited number of time, rather than just 40.
If you, that's a battery, I tell you that. Anyway, inoperable vehicles, and that paragraph is strictly to inoperable vehicles. And under private sales, we changed it to read, all items for sale shall be kept within the garage area. We do, though, have to post these again for 30 days. So we're asking the board to approve that posting. And then we'll be back here in June to ask the board to approve the guideline.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Could I have a motion?
I'd like to move that we repost the current architectural guidelines and standard revisions for the next 30 days and revisit this on our agenda in June.
Is there a second? Alan Scott, second. Any discussion? All those in favor raise their hand. All those opposed? Carries. Next item. Manager spending limit policy revision.
Am I buzzing? Okay. Matter of opinion. Soon. A request was made in the last few weeks of both Elka and myself to review and clarify the association manager's spending limit expenditure policy, which was previously named. We were asked to look at what expenditures qualify under this policy, when they qualify, how they are reported, and the acceptable limits. The revised policy gives the authority that we're proposing today, gives the authority to the association manager to make expenditures up to certain limits from both the operating funds and the asset replacement fund in situations requiring emergency or non-emergency repair, replacement, or maintenance of common area. Expenditures from the capital improvement and catastrophe funds will always require prior board approval. In the case of emergencies, we are proposing that there should be no limit as to the amount spent without prior approval, as long as the expenditure is necessary to stabilize a life-threatening or property-threatening situation. The association manager must then inform the president of the emergency and expenditure as soon as possible. As far as non-emergencies are concerned, once a situation is stabilized, further necessary expenditures on the emergency can be considered non-emergency. Non-emergencies, the association manager's spending limit for non-emergency repair, replacement, or general maintenance shall be $10,000 per project, with a total maximum of $40,000 per quarter, whether such expenditures originate from the operating or asset replacement fund or both. Board of Directors prior approval was required on all amounts exceeding the stated limit, and the expenditure from the operating funds or the asset replacement fund under this authority must be reported to the board no later than the next board meeting. End of policy division.
All right, I worked on this also with Andy and also brought Cassie in on it. The important thing is this does not change the amounts of the authorized expenditures. What it does is it clears up some very big ambiguities that existed in that policy, and this clarifies what funds can be used and what funds can't be used. Do I hear a motion? So move what?
To approve the amended spending limitations for the manager as stated.
Do I hear a second? Bob getting second? Any discussion? Hearing no request for discussion, all those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed? Motion carried. The big one. Okay. This is the pickleball. Oh, boy, no, this is the big one. Coffee cart. I jumped the gun. Is anyone here to address this issue?
I have the floor for 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Herm, did you want a clarification on something? Okay. Let's give her the floor for 3 minutes. Would you state your name, please?
Melissa of Play Shirts, 701
Speak up.
Oakmont Drive. 8701 Oakmont Drive. Last month, I proposed, or I gave a presentation to the board for a coffee cart to be located in the Central Community Center, it's DAC. And it was to be placed as you walk in the front door to the right. And, but I have a couple things to add since the last meeting. And Herm, did you receive the paperwork I emailed you for the presentation? You did? Good. Okay. So since I did the presentation, the survey came out from the residents at Oakmont. About 35% of the people that live in Oakmont responded, and out of that 35%, there were 30% that said that they wanted a central gathering place where they could hang out, visit, have coffee, or whatever. And last month, Bob made the comment, he thought that a coffee cart right in the entrance, towards the entrance of the community center, where it's all carpeted, might cause some problems from people spilling coffee or what have you. So I thought, well, what about having it in the art center, that area? It's linoleum, and also, since 30% of respondents wanted Wi-Fi, why don't we have like a cyber cafe? That would be great. So those are a couple of things. One other thing is there is concerns about charging me rent or leasing space, and I know that that's some sort of a problem, but when people place vending machines...
I really apologize for interrupting, but I think what we need to know is where we need to proceed from this point. I think generally we kind of like the idea of a coffee cart. It's just a matter of getting this thing done. So, pardon? And the 3 minute limit's up. So I think we're all still like to have the coffee cart. We just got to figure out how to do it. So what step do we need to take here, Cassie? Or
Okay, so basically what you have to do is approve this. We have to work out the insurances. We have to be listed as additional insured on your liability policy, which you said is no problem. And we have to make that corner space available, which means that we would have to remove that puzzle table. And so you'd be down to one puzzle table in the room. Maybe put down, I don't know if a plastic, like a plastic layer, around where the coffee is going to be necessary. I don't know. The one thing that I had a question on is the coffee containers. Are you going to have a cart there, or are you going to have what was in the board packet last month, It looked like you just had one of those warming coffee thermos, right?
That was just a prop.
Okay.
That was
All
sort
right.
of just representative. It wasn't, air pot coffee,
Okay.
where, the
And
lever.
then, is it going to be, should we do like a 3-month trial? Is that agreeable with you?
Absolutely.
So let's try it for 90 days.
Okay.
Who is going to be responsible for the cleanup? Crumbs, stuff like this.
I think that's going to be worked out in the details.
Well, she just said she's going to be.
I would be more than happy to go around and
Okay.
clean up cups, and I'm used to that.
Yes, Bob?
I'm going to sound like the Grinch because this has gotten ahead of me, and I apologize in advance for that. But the discussions, we had a brief demonstration last week, and now we're at the point of thinking about giving a 90-day trial in a carpeted area that wasn't designed to have food service, the walls, and with the window behind it. I don't want to make too much of a point, but we have this beautiful, beautiful patio outside with tables, umbrellas, and wouldn't warm coffee out there tastes good in the morning, and in the afternoon it's usually very nice, and it's usually protected from the wind because it's horseshoe shaped. I'd like to give it 90 days there rather than inside where we have conflicts of architecture to the activity that's going to be there. I don't think this is much different than worrying about tap dancing on a new wood floor. We're bringing in an activity in a spot that's ill-suited, but we want this, and we have an underutilized area already that's, I think, kind of nice outside.
You are absolutely right, and that's why it has wheels, because when I first suggested the coffee cart, it was in January, and now it's April, and I was going to push it outside during the warmer months, so that's perfect.
Yes, Joan?
Is there a power outlet available?
Yes.
There is?
Yes.
Because that would be problematic.
There it is.
I think not. We're really pressed for time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I think we need to continue. We got to get to this pickleball thing. I'll talk to you afterwards, okay? Okay, is there any further discussion on the board? Do I hear a motion of any sort? Or what do you want, how do you want to proceed from this point?
Has a decision been made as to where this is going to be? Is it going to be outside? Is it going to be inside?
I don't think so. Okay, I would suggest, if we're a little premature on this, let's have a let's have a board workshop to discuss this in more detail. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, do I hear a motion then?
I would move that we grant Ms. Schultz a 90-degree trial on the patio.
You meant 90 day.
What did I say, 90 year?
We're getting a little giddy up here, I think. Okay, do I hear a second to the motion? Andy seconded the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, thank you. All right, now, here we go. That wasn't controversial at all, was it? Okay, the pickleball committee presentation. Anita Islam, would you like to big?
For all of you who have stayed all this time, pro and con, thank you. My name is Anita Easlin, and I am the co-chairman of the Oakmont Pickleball Ad Hoc Committee. The other co-chairman is Noel Lyons, and he is in Ireland right now, and probably sending us the whole bouquet of four-leaf clover. Jane Georgie represents pickleball. Michael Goff represents tennis. Max Henchman represents petanque. And Cassie Turner represents administration. I'm going to change my presentation a little bit because so many comments were made prior to my getting up here. You can see what a robust and active membership we have and how much we have grown. But first of all, I want to thank the tennis club. We are very grateful for the temporary 2 courts on East 4, partly because we have learned so much by being up there. We have learned, for one thing, 2 courts is way not enough. We need at least 4 courts. And we have learned that our number of pickleball players really grew while we were being there. In the 18 months, we grew from 34 players to over 120 players. Unfortunately, that has led to overcrowding of the courts, and that's given us another lesson. The overcrowding has led to some noise complaints from both sides of the canyon. And we have learned that a canyon area is not an area for pickleball. And the option of being on either court east or court west is not an option. In addition to not wanting to take over any tennis courts, it is not an appropriate place for tennis courts to be. I mean, pickleball courts to be. The Oakmont Pickleball Ad Hoc Committee has been meeting for almost 18 months now. Our first meeting was 11/25/13. Our committee goal was to, in our charter, was to move us off of the temporary courts and be on to permanent courts by May 1st, 2015. That's in a couple of weeks from now. So obviously we have not met that goal. We looked at all the possible sites as options for a location for our pickleball courts. And as you know, in our beautiful community, we are very built out. And the best location that we could come up with was deemed to be the underutilized shuffleboard area, the underutilized horseshoe and putting green area. The key thing to us being in that area is that this site is level. It is not in a canyon, which is good for being able to mitigate the pickleball noise. Also, that area seems like a good fit since the pool has 2 ping pong tables on the deck, plenty of activity, especially in the summer when the kids are there swimming. This area also has high ambient noise, the traffic from Oakmont Drive, parking lots, external air conditioning units, whirlpool and pool pumps. In research in other like-type senior facilities to figure out how many courts we need in our community, we found that the ratio that's being used nationally is 1 court per 500 homes. So we originally started out with a plan for 6 courts that would give us that correct ratio. That ratio may have even gone up since then. That was a year ago, and pickleball continues to grow and continues to be very, very exciting in this country. We have reduced our courts by 1 court, Instead of 6 courts, it's now going to be 5 courts, 4 courts on the putting green area and 1 court on the shuffleboard area. And we have been very happy with that plan. We have taken that final plan to be submitted to the Santa Rosa Planning Department. When the permit hearing was announced on 2/18, there were several Oakmont residents who sent letters with concerns about noise and loss of view. The city planners then required an acoustical consultant to assess the noise impact and mitigation measures, a visual impact consultant who will superimpose a drawing that depicts the location, the elevation of the project onto a photograph. This information is then to be discussed with all of you at meetings here, forums and community meetings where everybody can have a chance to see what the consultants find and to discuss those findings. Yes, we are disappointed that these additional measures have slowed down the process, added extra costs, but we do see the positive side of these requirements. It will provide facts and data, not just opinions when discussing the project. It is the goal of the ad hoc committee and of the Oakmont Pickleball Club to bring a new recreational asset that will serve Oakmonters for many years to come. The anticipated costs of these permits are not insignificant. They are very specialized areas of consulting. I have not been able to find 3 bidders in each of the categories due to the fact that they are very specific. I have gone down to the planning department and looked at other projects that have used sound consultants, acoustic consultants, and 3 of the 4 projects that I looked at are using the same consultant that we have that has given us a bid, and so we feel confident that this person will be able to do a good job for us. We have 2 bids by visual imaging proposals. The cost of the acoustic consultant proposal is $4,500. Visual imaging proposal is $3,300. The public hearing at City Hall is $1,647. We also have to have 2 signs, 6 feet by 7 feet, that will be posted in obvious places here in Oakmont. They are so large they have to have cement footings. Those signs will cost $475. The total amount is $9,922. So we are requesting an allocation of $12,000 to cover unanticipated additional costs. We thank you, and we hope that you will grant these funds so we can move ahead with our pickleball plans. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a motion on the floor?
I move that we authorize the expenditure of up to $12,000 for the, as set forth in the proposal by the ad hoc pickleball committee.
It's been moved and seconded by Herm Herman. Okay. Discussion. I'm sorry, the audience can't participate. Is there any discussion? Yes, John Felton.
I wondered if the pickleball supporters, that would be beyond just the members, anyone supports it, would be willing to throw in some personal donations to reduce our cost a little bit for the initial $12,000. Just a thought. Maybe
Okay.
it wasn't clear.
Okay, it's not a motion though, or not an
No,
amendment
it's
to
just
the
a
motion?
thought.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion? All right, then I'm going to say a few words. I made sure that this item got on our board for this first meeting. I felt it was important for this community to know what the current board might be thinking. We have basically not had a vote on this. The board back in, I think it was January of 2014, basically approved the concept of pickleball courts and directed that they be built when feasible. They then formed a committee. Unfortunately, they did not say, okay, you got $25,000, see what you can do to put something together and go to the city and all that. So the cost appeared to get a little out of hand because of the requirements by the city. And that's where we stand. I think we've already expended something like $35,000 or $39,000 getting to this point. So I will state for myself, I have never hidden the fact that if elected, I would probably vote for the pickleball courts. I still am holding out until I see the final project. But for me personally, I've been involved in investigating this for, a year and a half. From the time I was on the planning commission, or the Long Range Planning Committee.
Right.
I have continued to investigate this. I've been out to Hugh Wilder's house just last week. He had a complaint about the sound going up at the east courts to his house. I went out on his deck, and sure enough, you can hear it. You can hear the people whispering down at the bottom almost. It's like a Greek amphitheater where his house is located. So I've continued my investigation, and I have not changed my mind that we should continue to proceed on this. And for this reason, I would recommend to this board that we authorize this $12,000.
I'd like to sort of second that. I don't see how we can go forward with any kind of plans for or against pickleball unless we have this kind of information. That's why I fully support this study.
Anybody else? Any comments? Okay. Call for the question. All those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed? Carries unanimously. Do we need to do anything on the referrals to collection?
Kathy, I have some questions on the collections. One is for it. In our board packet, it looks like unless the backup wasn't included, it's for $63 only. I didn't see it. Okay. All right. What count is that? Okay, so the backup is there then. I've got to go back in here. Yeah, that account is at 388. Okay. Then the other one is the board made an agreement that they weren't going to lien account 137-137-00-296-02, and so until a certain time. And so is that time up? Can you confirm that?
I don't have that information.
Okay, Andy, you're saying...
Go back to the account number again?
13700.
Is that the foreclosure you're talking about?
No, that's the lien. It's C-137-13700.
Cassie?
Yeah.
The limitations that we needed to hit were 6 months and $1,800, and we're there on both.
No, this one was an objection, and it was maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
That was my objection, because we hadn't hit the threshold to send it to.
But we gave them a certain date, and if they hadn't paid in full by a certain date, that's when you were going to send them.
I think it was March.
Okay. That's all I'm asking. Okay, all right, then, other than that.
Okay, so question?
Where do we proceed from here? Do I hear a motion to approve? Herm? Do I hear a second? Andy's seconded. Any discussion? Call the question. All those in favor, raise their hand. Opposed? Carried. Future board meeting agenda recommendations, anything?
Yeah, this is the one working. I would like to suggest that we put on an early agenda a discussion of the possibility of increasing the square footage that we lease in the Burger building. There are two, in the Benson building, excuse me. There are two spaces that, over there now that are not included in our lease, but would be optimum for additional space, meeting room space, as we might need in the future. It's not on the agenda, so it needs to be placed as an agenda item. I'd like to suggest we do that.
Do I just say do it?
It's done.
Thank you. Do it. All right. Okay.
Would that be an executive session because of the contract?
No.
Would be a business meeting first?
We're far from that. It's just, what would that space be used for? Yes, probably a workshop.
All right. We'll leave the schedule for a workshop or for board meeting. Okay, just to discuss it. Okay, moving on. Taskmaster list. Kathy, what do we have?
Is this live? Okay. AM, that's Cassie Turner, is to address West Rec nighttime lighting. And Kathy is to remind Frank Bachelor to write a letter to MDK regarding membership fees of those residents in the assisted facility.
I had asked, maybe it's already done, that Frank sign a letter to Sonoma State. That's done?
It will be.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How do we improve the status of our AV system in Burger?
Put that on the agenda.
I can address that.
Well, well, let's not address it right now. I'm brain dead. Well, okay, John, go ahead.
Quick answer is, a number of us met last week. If we get a positive result, we have put things on order to replace that we know are not working right. And by the next meeting, everything should be good again.
Hey.
What's the spending limit?
Yeah, right.
$11.97.
Okay, go to the agenda for the next either business or executive meeting. Okay, any other business? Hearing nothing, I hereby adjourn this meeting.